network, it just seemed like Casey or Dan would upload them to their personal YouTube, but they had privileges on the SIG network playlist on the Kubernetes channel, perhaps, and they just like linked it in there. I don't know why.
Oh, I see. So it was their personal YouTube, because I was like, where would we put the video, like the actual file?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I don't know if I'm guessing that those are different permissions. Like it's more lenient to be able to change a playlist than to upload to the like Kubernetes account. I don't know.
Okay, I'll follow up on that. That's a good point. I'll just email them. Okay, hopefully this is the right doc. And can everyone see this?
Yep.
Okay, so we still need to send out the meeting time. I'll do it right after this meeting. Seems like that one slipped. Reviewing the previous items we had. So Chris, I know that you were looking into creating a branch.
Yep. And I got emailed them, and then I opened up the issue, and I haven't seen any progress yet.
Okay, can you put the issue link here? Maybe I can follow up as well to just see who we need to get on that. Usually they were pretty good, but maybe it was because it was like enhancements freeze or something that people got busy again.
Maybe. I'll attach it to this.
Okay, so the second item is the cap. And I went through a lot of the comments and tried to address them. There's some that are still left hanging, especially around the API, sort of how to do defaulting and whatnot. We merged, or going to merge, the current edit. I'm going to open another PR to accumulate more comments. The good thing is that once the branch is created, we can kind of reflect at least the current cap proposed changes into the branch. So we can kind of get a sense of what that looks like and then sort of get a head start on the implementation. Any comments on that? The one awkward thing about the cap process is it's not clear how to put the whole cap back up for comment. So an alternative is to have people submit PRs against the cap, but then you get siloed conversations between the two. Have to see what people are doing in other caps to try to, especially one that's a little bit bigger, try to accumulate comments. Any thoughts on that? Okay, so in terms of the conformance tests, I think I saw the issue open up to create the repository. Is that right? We just need to get that moving forward.
Yep. So through the process, I wasn't sure in the beginning how to proceed, but yeah, I think I'm now on hold with the right people. The issue is open. I'm just pushing forward slowly but surely.
Okay. Are you having any issues, or you think it's on its way?
I think it's on its way.
Okay, great.
I will advise otherwise.
Okay, can you put the issue here, just we can keep track of them all?
Sure.
Okay, so, and I'll put here conformance test repository. Put issue link here. So then, let's see, cap reviewed, implementing the API. This depends on the branch, specification for behavior. Oh, so once the conformance test repository has been created, we should also probably create something that's akin to the kubedns spec document. Just as part of conformance, we can also document it. So that thing, I might, for ease, we could probably just circulate a Google Doc for now, and then we convert it to the Markdown. So I'll start that with I'll CC the SIG-NETWORK group and then people in this group. And then when the branch gets created, we can kind of convert it to the actual repository form. So let's see, specification for behavior, create Google Doc, the repository. Okay. And then I think once we're comfortable about sort of the contents of the CAP, I think we can start actually planning sort of realistic milestones based on the changes. So hopefully we can sort of have conversations over email probably soon after this is merged, and then see how many additional comments we get with respect to sort of an actual implementation plan. Like, what do we expect in 117, 118, and maybe 119? Probably somewhere in that time boundary. So those are the items that I see we had from last time, and some of the stuff that we had this time. Does anyone else have any items to discuss?
So just confirming, our plan is to kind of merge the KEP and then iterate on it again, or?
Yeah, so there were a few outstanding items which I will update in a follow-on PR, but they're smaller. They're like API design issues, I think. I didn't see any major sort of like this whole piece of it should not be in it. So I'm going to put another KEP kind of like to finish those off. And then if we have the branch created at the meantime, we can basically start working on the basic directional things. And then when we merge anyways, we're going to have to go through an API review, which will necessitate some changes on top of it. Okay. But from a KEP standpoint, it might be post-KEP. At least that's what I've been finding with KEP, is like the KEP is the general directional plus it's feasible. And then some of that stuff might just be in the API review, and it's not necessary to do it in the KEP.
Yeah. Assuming we can get general agreements on the KEP, which I'm not sure what would you say are the missing pieces?
We can, let's see. We can go scan it real quick, actually.
Yeah.
If
I'm just wondering, like, timeline-wise, what we think. Like, do we think it's possible to get everything in this release still? Or is it looking like next release is really going to be?
Yeah, that's a good question. I kind of have to, one thing is what sort of level of support from the controllers, like do you remember what happened with network policy? Like, I guess the problem is that the GA basically was just a flag flip of sorts rather than having any changes.
Flag flip.
In terms of it just moved API versions, but it didn't. Actually, there were some changes in GA, weren't there?
Yeah, we put in the egress stuff as well as the IP range one. And that was post GA. So Dan put it in GA state, and then this was post GA that we added on a couple more things. But that's within kind of within the guidelines, I guess. Like, you're allowed to do that, add things to it after it goes GA.
Right. Yeah, we'd have to, so I'll update the PR with what we feel is the criteria for advancing it into various stages. Yeah, how about this? I will put together a proposed timeline, which is in that KEP anyways, and then everyone here should comment on that as they see if it makes sense or not.
Okay.
That way it's like we can I don't think we can settle it online right now, because I would want, for example, like Jordan, like it to weigh in and stuff like that, because they're very much making a heavy emphasis on like compatibility and then making sure things still work across versions.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, let me take a note of this. Let's see, so KEP, we will, okay, so make sure close out on remaining items and then have a roadmap for discussion of one API upstream or KDS. Okay. Anything else? I know that there is a proposal not just for conformance, but for a reference implementation.
Yeah, does anyone have any feedback?
I'm still going through the
Oh,
doc.
you added a comment, so thank you.
Yeah, but it's like a drive-by comment. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm still going through that. I think it's an interesting idea, and we should just see what people think.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid the Nginx versus Trafic versus Envoy versus HA proxy fanboy war, but I guess Envoy is more controversial than I anticipated.
Right. Yeah. But like reference implementation, technically speaking, like we could have two. Like Nginx is already there, and then Envoy would be another one. So.
Yeah. Well, Nginx technically is not a default.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Although it is quite widely used, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like people just use it, so it sort of is a default, sort of, not really.
Is that within scope of your proposal, like actually making something a default?
No, so I think
Kubernetes.
So I think this would be a separate conversation we would have.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's not. Yeah, I don't think it's directly in scope within the working group. This particular working group. I just figured since we finished everything else, we might as well have a verbal conversation about the proposal to see if anyone had any sort of commentary.
Yeah, like this, I want to focus our group on like just getting the API side GA. I think the reference implementation is an interesting thing to have sort of like on a parallel track, because it has broader implications potentially.
Oh, it's reference, so it's not necessarily like saying it's the default, but it's like kind of like saying that in a different way. To be fair.
Well, I think part of the argument is that we're adding quite a bit more to the specification, and Ingress is sufficiently complicated that even now, as we go through the conformance test exercise, there are just minor things that around compatibility that are different between different Ingress controllers, because the specification itself is not fully specified. And so you get to a point in complexity where it's impossible to fully capture all the nuances and semantics of something. It's just purely in a specification. So inevitably you have to go to and I don't know where the tipping point is, but inevitably you're going to hit a tipping point where you're going to need both a conformance test suite and probably a reference implementation, whether you like it or not.
I understand. Yeah, this is a delicate balance that we've tried to have with network policy as well. Because if we have tests in the conformance that actually spin up the cluster with Calico, then developers of Weave or any other plugin are going to want the suite for theirs as well. And there hasn't traditionally been an easy way to like spin up a bunch of different clusters with various pluggable points like that in the test suite. There was this Kubernetes Anywhere project that kind of allowed that and is still used, but nobody's actively maintaining it anymore. So yeah, I mean, I would be in support of it, but we'll probably hit those issues quite soon as well.
Yeah, it's definitely complicated. I think the other thing is, it's just very strange if you're new to Kubernetes to figure out, okay, I want to expose my service to the internet. And so then you Google and you learn that you have to create this ingress resource, and you kubectl apply this ingress resource, and nothing happens because there's nothing running in the cluster to process said resource.
That's right. That's some people say Kubernetes, because of these things, is not batteries included, and
Yeah,
I've heard that before. But
so
yeah, I think it's worth. Let's see what people think, and then we should definitely advertise that in SIG-NETWORK, the call as well, just to like pick up as many like stakeholders as possible. That's all for now. I have to look through it in detail.
okay.
Okay. Any other topics? Going once, going twice? Okay. In that case, you can have 10 minutes back. And then, Chris, as soon as the branch is created, we can figure out some stuff to do.
Awesome. Yeah, I forgot to link it in the thing, but I do have that open one on Ingress class, but it seemed like the GCE Ingress is one of the only Ingress providers potentially that does a lot with that. So I tried looking in the GCE Ingress code, and I still couldn't really figure out what it was doing. Perhaps it's because
interesting. Okay.
it's like under the covers what it does with the annotation. So I really just created a field, and I wanted to figure out if that seemed right.
Let's just actually ping me on Slack. We can figure it out. At least I know the Ingress GCE pretty well. So.
Okay.
All right.
It doesn't have to be today. I'll send you a message tomorrow or something.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.